Tonight is the same as every meeting. The only thing I'd like to say is that the town, after the last meeting, you did come in, you graded the road. Unfortunately, 4 days later, the first rain, the potholes were all back. So what I suggest is that maybe instead of just coming in and grading the road, you set up a budget to actually come in, rip up the road about 6 to 8 inches deep, and then reconstruct it. I know this is being done in other sectors of the township. That is the only solution to permanently repair the potholes on Fisher's Point. I'm just making a proposal. It'll take a little extra budget, but that might finally fix up our road. Okay?
Okay, Ron.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Manning 479 Chemin de Bonneville. I have 2 questions, but they do not apply to the agenda. May I still ask them?
I'll tolerate it tonight.
Thank you. First question, I'm assuming that everyone is familiar with the Facebook page Milton.com.
Well, I don't go on Facebook, so.
Okay, well, clarification, I check it out, and there are advertisements and blah, 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 lots of things going on. And the town of Lac-Brome is spelled. Is it an autocorrect?
You mean B-R-O-O-M-E?
Exactly.
It's not our page.
That must be a typing error.
It's not our page.
It's not our page, so we can't really.
Yeah, no, but there is no Lac, B-R-O-O-M-E. Okay, so clarification there, thank you. And the piece of land on Highland, the very large piece, is it Highland?
In front here?
No, what is it?
Where are you? What are you trying to?
Okay,
Start with a GPS, yeah.
I know, my GPS. There was a piece of land, quite large, that it's going up, is it Highland Street?
Yeah. Just in front here, just in front here.
Okay, and it's quite a ginormous piece of land that the town owns.
Oh, no.
We don't own that.
No. No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to, I'll go back and GPS it to get the specifics. I'm simply asking because from my understanding, there was a piece of land that the municipality owned that is quite large, and given the strategic plan of building residence or housing for retired people, senior people, that if that piece of land was owned by the municipality, would they be willing to give it to a developer for free if,
Are you talking about the land on Kennedy?
I believe that's it.
Yes.
Behind.
No, there'll be no development in front of my house. No, we bought that, yes, back in 2015, I believe. There's 11 or 13 acres there. A lot of it at the end towards KDC is
Yeah, that's it.
Wetland, and consequently, we bought it because I think it was, at the time, it was 80,000, and so we bought it to look for water.
Oh,
We thought it would
okay.
be strategically a good place to, if we're able to do like we did at Jollyboard, have the pumping station there and one there also, so, but there was water not to be found, but we still own the land, which is worth a lot today, which was a good investment, but, yes, anything is, the town can, decide the future, or next year, the council, or the future council will be able to, they've got it, so they can decide what they want to do with it.
And it would have to be a developer to approach you guys to to say that, I'd like to build something similar to Manoir Lac-Brome.
Or the town could put it up for sale with the condition of looking for a project or a promoter to do whatever. And, because we own it, so we control what can go in there for sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
It could also be offered to a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, but, yes,
Yes, good evening, Anita Southall from Knowlton. I just wanted to revisit the question that was raised by, I believe her name was Madame Lagu and Madame Clément par la suite, a souligné les points que Madame Lagu dont elle avait discuté. Et elle se souciait particulièrement du développement qui était en train de se construire sur Fresno. Et je ne sais pas si j'ai peut-être pas suivi exactement ou mal compris, mais là où j'étais, j'ai constaté que la dame qui a dit « J'aimerais savoir quel est l'impact environnemental, c'est-à-dire c'est quoi la substance d'un rapport de biologiste qui a été fait, s'est fait en fait refuser cette information. Est-ce que j'ai peut-être mal compris parce que je vois M. Harel est en train de faire mon de la tête?
no, apparently it hasn't been received.
No, it did.
That's not what was said.
No.
It wasn't said it wasn't received. I heard...
Owen's got to respond.
Oh, okay.
Right, let Mr. Harel respond, or Mr. Joker.
You want me to answer in English or French?
Les deux.
Okay, they do. Okay.
C'est
Alors,
un enjeu qui est particulièrement important pour tout le monde et
Oui.
pas uniquement les voisins sur Fresno, mais c'est
Alors,
une
Okay,
question qui
Owen,
pèse
can
sur
you
tout le monde.
give your answer?
alors, il y a deux projets. Il y a le projet Fresno qui est en train d'être construit, avec tous les permis octroyés l'année passée et tout ça. Ça, c'est le côté ouest de Fresno. Ça, c'est un projet.
Où il y a déjà des maisons construites.
Exact.
Exactement.
Madame avait une demande d'accès à l'information concernant le terrain Guillemin, le lot pour lequel elle a posé la question. Elle s'inquiète pour l'existence des milieux humides, etc. sur ce terrain-là. Je n'ai pas refusé sa demande. Je suis en train de traiter sa demande. J'ai demandé de parler avec la madame au sujet de sa demande. Alors, ce n'est pas réglé d'une façon ou l'autre, mais il faut voir que c'est deux projets différents. Le projet Fresno qui est approuvé est en construction. L'autre, qui n'est même pas proche d'être approuvé, c'est dans un état embryonique. Et il n'y a rien qui se passe là pour l'instant. There's two projects. Fresno project already approved, being built. Madame Leguet was asking for information about the Guillemin land on Tibbetts Hill, for which there is a possibility of a project, but nothing concrete has been proposed. I did not refuse her request for information. I want to speak to her and get more information. Simple as that.
Okay. But one of the points that you made was, and it was a question essentially, you made a statement, but you said, well, if the developer hires a biologist to do an environmental impact survey, then that information might be private to the developer. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but that was the gist of what I understood. In other words, that it might be private, the developer owns it, and the town would not be able to share it. That's what I understood. Was that correct?
Well, I don't know how I could have paraphrased something. I didn't give an answer.
That's me.
You
Very
didn't
quick.
mention the biologist and the privacy of the
Mrs.
information.
Sudal, that's me that said that, and
Okay, I beg your pardon.
a
So
question
I
saying-
beg your pardon, it was Mr.
Yeah,
Harris.
yeah, and it was a question because I don't
Yeah.
really know the answer of it. Yeah.
And I think it's a really good question, a really important one. And I wonder if we could just touch on that for a moment, because what I was thinking about as I sat there is a developer that hires a biologist, right? In how many cases so far have the developments which have been approved or which are being considered, in how many cases have the biologist reports that were produced by a developer, sorry, not by a developer, but at the behest, at the request of a developer, in how many cases has have those biologists said to the developer who commissioned them, no, we shouldn't go ahead, the environmental impact is too large? In how many cases has that happened so far?
We don't have that information with us.
Okay,
But it happens,
it does.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And in a case where it is approved,
Madame Soutel, I'll allow you one more question because there's a woman behind waiting. Usually it's 2 questions, so, and then you can come back after the woman. I'll allow this one though to go ahead. Go ahead.
thank you. In a case where the developer's biologist report approves it, does the town accept that, or does the town have its own understanding of what environmental impact might be? Does the town have its own perspective that they bring to this? Or are you the passive recipients on our behalf of whatever a developer's biologist report might substantiate? And the reason I bring up this question is because we just spent $70,000 earlier this year on a strategic plan, and 2 of the most salient points in that strategic plan were A, transparency, and B, concern for the environment. So I'm trying to see how this all kind of marries together.
If the companies are renowned for, it's their own reputation, naturally they're working, they go in and they give the report and they send it. It goes to it would be the promoter because he is the one that hired the company.
Mhm.
But the companies all work like that, just like the architects do. And they have a stamp on it and it's their reputation, so they give their report. Do we have an independent one done? No, we don't, I don't believe, but Owen?
No, we typically don't ask for an independent report apart from the one done by the professional in the industry. Of course, for any project or any situation, we're dealing with our own bylaws, our own understanding, in the example of the wetlands, of where they exist, of the MRC's understanding of where they exist, of the Minister of the Environment's understanding of where they exist. And often these requests that require a biological report, in the first place, they have to get permission from Quebec. So it's not just a simple method of what you're insinuating, that you pay off the guy to do the report he likes, and then...
I beg your pardon, Mr. Falcaro. I never said that, nor did I insinuate it. I would ask you to
Okay.
retract that remark.
Okay, fine.
Immediately.
I'll retract that. Let me finish my sentence, and we
Thank
can
you.
move to your next question.
Okay.
That there are many steps, many organisms that have to give their go-ahead, and it's not just we look at a report and say, oh, the person said there's nothing there, we let it go. There's more to it than that. Simple as that.
And that's all I am asking. I'm not insinuating anything. What I'm asking is, does the town, with the expertise
You
that it has,
got, you got
take...
your answer.
All right, well, I will have to come back to
Yeah,
revisit this,
that's
sir,
fine.
because we're not finished this discussion.
Hi everyone, I'm representing the Fondation Carc for this next question. We would like an update on the Carc Terrace. We see that there's work being done, and we just wanted to know what the next steps were and timelines were.
Well, the contract was given out for the sanitary block to be put in, and also with the other part of the parking. Where is that now? I haven't gone by. I went by, I think, last week, and I saw it tarp. It's all dug out,
It's under
excavated and
construction.
that. So they should be starting to,
Well, it's supposed to be finished for the end of the year. That's what they told us.
Calendar year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, calendar year.
That'd be good, and that would include the toilets and parking lot.
The first parking and the sanitary block, yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But it's not going as fast as it was promised.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, thank
Yeah.
you. A second question, as a resident, I'm a new owner of a commercial building on Lakeside. Japanese knotweed, I know is a huge concern. Thank you for the information that you have all provided. I also have some on my farm. So I would like to address the Japanese knotweed on my new property as fast as possible. However, I've noticed that the municipal parking is just rampant with it, so it's kind of like impossible to get ahead. Or I don't want to go too fast if there's so much neighboring. So I do know that the Colebrook Path or the Berry Trail you started work is fantastic. I just wanted to know if there's a way or somewhere that I could see the timelines for the next phases so I can kind of plan around them.
Yeah, no, we don't, I understand your question, yes, we
Yeah.
tore out that, but there is a lot all around too, and it's hard to be on every place that they have, but on public property like that, we'll try to, dig it out and take it out.
I just want to know if your concern is about
Donc, based on the code.
the weed that's on your own property?
Mais en fait, oui, j'en ai sur ma propriété qui commence. Donc, j'aimerais mieux pouvoir l'enlever avant que ça devienne trop grand. Mais autour de tout le stationnement municipal, là, sur le chemin Lakeside, comme vis-à-vis le sapin, c'est rempli complètement. Comme les trois côtés, là.
So you
That's
want
where
that
I'm
to
talking
clear.
about.
Okay.
So, I'm not gonna start the treatment, because it's a big treatment, before the municipal part is attended to.
On a une planification d'élimination, mais sur le moyen et long terme, qui a débuté avec ce qui se fait sur le sentier. Là.
Mais en fait, c'est ça, je voulais savoir s'il y avait comme une place où est-ce que je pourrais aller voir les dates, ou non.
Ben, on va s'en parler.
Ok.
après.
Ça va. Ok, ça va m'aider. Merci.
Ok.
Merci.
Just to clarify the point we were talking about earlier, what I'm trying to get to is the town has environmental expertise, urban planning expertise, an entire history of looking at different lots. And there can be cases where there's a dynamic tension, if you will, between what the bylaws might permit and what the specifics of a particular project in a particular lot with a particular environmental impact might engender. And that was the point I was trying to make, is at what point does the town step in and manage those dynamics in the interest of the town? That was the question that I asked. That's where I was going with this.
So just to nuance, the steps that a promoter will take prior to before the project is tabled at the council, there are studies done, and often the council will not be presented a project because the promoter will decide to forget it because when they look at our bylaws and what they can do or can't do with the setback. So that's one analysis that the council is not privy to regularly. However, when the promoter said, yes, my initial studies show that there's a interesting potential, then they come to the town and they say, well, if it's not pre-lotted, they have to look at that. But to do that, there's a whole, if you read our bylaws, there's a whole steps of what they have to do. And then after that, the Environment Committee will occasionally have their peek at it, the CCU will look at it, and then it will be broken down, and the council will look at those studies and those reports. So just to clarify a little bit what was said previously, not by you, but by the other people, is that the second steps is, I remember a case where the municipal inspectors raised the flag and said, I think we should ask for more precision for this part of the project because it's unclear how they're going to do water runoff mitigation or whatever. So it's not a blind, well, a professional said this, so we have to give it to them. There is discussions and there are analysis that are done once the project has been tabled, but there are a lot of conditions before it gets to the council.
And then all those analyses that are undertaken, for instance, by the Environmental Committee or the CCU, that would be information that the public would have access to if they needed it or wanted it. Is that correct?
I can answer for the request of the town. It would be Mr. Falcao that would have to tell you, but okay. I just wanted to make, because I fear that there was a confusion by people in the past that from today that are looking at two different types of studies. A promoter can do a preliminary study, send it to the municipal administration to have a discussion. When they look at the bylaws and they say, well, we're not going to go there, well, that's a lot less detailed than when the project is to be approved by council or whatever, and Mr. Falcaro could tell you what becomes public or not at that point.
Appreciate the clarification. One more question, if I might, and this actually is addressed to Mr. Falcaro. The gentleman.
It's addressed to me, and then I'll.
Oh, all right, thank you, sir. I'm pretty confident you're gonna ask Mr. Falcaro to answer. There was a reference made, the first gentleman who spoke this evening asked a question about mitigating a danger essentially in his neighborhood, right? That was the whole, and he and his neighbor had been refused the right to build a staircase, if I recall the details correctly, because of the degree of the slope, okay? And I understand that they had been refused, and the explanation that was provided for that refusal was, I believe, the substance of bylaw 134.3, I believe, because there was a reference made to we can no longer give a minor variance in connection with anything to do with, and you said public safety, I believe you said one other thing, but the question that I have, if my inference is correct, and that it was based on 134.3.
Public safety and health. And
right,
something, yeah.
right, but is that in connection with the bylaw that was passed to make it such that the town could no longer give variances in connection with health, public safety, the environmental heritage? There's a whole
Yes,
range of
yes,
things,
yes.
right?
Yes,
Okay,
you
so
can
that
wrap
is the one. Okay.
You can wrap it around the one which we
Right.
talk
So
about, the corridor debris, the noise.
Exactly, all those examples, right, where the town then subsequently had to issue 134-3 to ensure that the existing rights of people were protected along that corridor, because there were dozens of them. The question that I was curious about was, if the person is trying, if the citizen is trying to mitigate a danger, in other words, make the situation safer, not make it more dangerous, why would they be flat out refused under that bylaw? And I think that is probably a question for Mr. Falcaro.
Because we have no right to give a minor derogation for cases like that, just like we can't in the corridor debris.
But they're trying to make it safer, not more dangerous. They're trying to
Safer for
make it
them,
safer.
yes, we realize that, but it's the same thing. That is what was told. That was what was given to us, that we're not allowed to give a minor derogation. So I understand what you're
It
saying.
still doesn't,
No, it doesn't make sense. I
No,
know
it
that's
doesn't.
logic, but sometimes there is no logic to, you know what I mean? We don't see the logic in it, but Mr. Falcaro, if you want to add something to my
Right.
answer, you go ahead.
All I would add is that our bylaw 134.3 is nothing more than a complete cut and paste from the Quebec law,
Right.
Article 142 or thereabouts of the Loi sur l'aménagement de l'urbanisme. So we're not doing anything that's different in this town. It's exactly what Quebec provided. And like it or not like it, Quebec said you can't give a minor derogation if it's for health, safety, and so on. In this case, because it's a hill of more than 30-degree angle. So in the same way that no one can ever have a minor derogation for the noise corridor, even if it seems bizarre, this person can't have a minor derogation for a staircase on a slope, because that's what the Quebec law says. Simple as that.
But there isn't, they can't have a derogation if they've got pre-acquired rights. That was the whole point of 134.3.
No, it really wasn't. And pre-acquired rights are a totally different, separate thing than a minor derogation. A pre-acquired right is a pre-acquired right. A minor derogation is a right given by the council after the fact.
Okay,
So, anyway, he's
but it
answered.
does seem odd that,
Yes,
that
it
the
is odd.
interpretation of the law is that you cannot make the situation safer, unless the reason is because somehow building that would create another danger for other people around it. Is that what you're saying? Because then it would make sense to me.
I guess what I'm saying is you should have been at the debate at the National Assembly before they passed the law. Maybe you could have convinced them to pass it differently.
Okay, he's answered your question.
Yes, and I have to say, I think that's unnecessarily sarcastic.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Stone, you have 4 minutes, 4 minutes left.
Well, that's just about all it takes, sir. Thank you. This week, I was speaking to some of the bulldozer operators that have been working on Mill, on that project that's going on the Mill Road. And they were shaking their heads and running their hands through their hair, and they're saying, it's soaking wet. My perception was, from the information that I received here, was that the wetland was in the back part of the land. And these gentlemen are informing me that the whole of the land is just saturated. So I'm asking, is there a way for council to go in there and check? Could we send somebody from Public Works or something to check to see what is actually going on there so that stuff that is built doesn't sink down to China?
There's a surveyor, there's a surveyor that, well, it's not surveyor, it's a supervisor that looks after, follows, he's there day after day, he stays there permanently, and he's hired, and they followed the regulations, they had the permits, they had the biology
CA
report,
from the Youngburn.
everything, what can we say, it conforms. So,
The
because
only-
the bulldozer operator says it's
A
wet,
couple of them are saying it's really, yeah, really wet and, yeah, don't go for a walk there, and it's not what they expected, having read the reports. And so I'm just saying, like, this is a heads up that I received from the folks that are on the land. And so I want to share this and just maybe we could keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
And secondly, I was wondering if the town has yet to receive the plans for the inside changes of 401, because what we were presented originally when we were doing the PPC1, the plans for the rooms, they all required, to me, required to have electrical plans and plumber's plans and updating. And I'm just wondering if the town has received that yet from the promoter.
That I can't answer to unless, and Gilbert can't either, he's shaking his head no, so we don't have that information.
Yeah, okay.
It's
From my understanding, sir, what was presented at the time when the citizens were all upset, the plans were not current. What the promoter was talking about was great change, and I'm glad to hear that he's talking great change, but I'm wondering where the plans are to.
All the citizens weren't upset. There was a few, and
No.
that was that.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear. The upset was that the plans were not available for us to peruse. And so I'm questioning if you have yet to receive those plans, and how does one assure that those plans will be given to the town so that we may peruse?
That is with the gestion territoire, that's with the land development team, with the inspectors, and consequently, that is what, they presented to them. So, that's with we don't go to them every day and say, if you got this, if you got that. It's their job now, because the PPC went through, and he's had the changes. It's up to him to do whatever he has to do with the inspectors and to work with the inspectors, and the inspectors will make sure that they follow the bylaws and whatever. And he'll present his project and whatever.
Is that information not supposed to be at the town? Am I misunderstood
If
in
the
this?
promoter is ready to give their plans, I don't know if they given their plans to Mrs. Stone to the inspectors, but it's the job of the inspectors to make sure that the plans that they will give follows the PPC one that was adopted. That's their job.
So where are the plans?
Like I just told you, I don't know where the plans are. I don't know if they're ready, because what they presented. What's wrong with that?
Well, that's quite a delay.
Why?
When I talk with other architects, they all tell me that feasibility studies and plans, et cetera, will come first. And then there's
Yes.
the PPC, and then there's a...
But they
So we're playing
table,
hopscotch.
they table plans, sketches that you all saw, and after that, they're gonna present the details one that they're gonna work on when they think it's appropriate for them.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much for your sarcasm too.
No, I
But
just...
Madame Lavoie, le centre peut-être, faites ça vite, parce que je n'ai pas passé
Non,
ce
non,
soir.
mais non, mais
Est-ce que ce
comment?
serait possible de savoir qu'est-ce que ils sont après faire sur le lot 162, chemin l'automne? Ils ont fait une, parce que c'est juste à côté de la zone humide, puis il y a une entrée juste en face de la rue Summit, l'autre côté,
Oui.
puis ils ont, ça se rend jusqu'à la maison 160. Ça commence de 184 jusqu'à 162. Un chemin qu'ils ont fait là,
Oui.
sur le bord du chemin, qu'est-ce que c'est? Est-ce que moi, on se demandait si c'était peut-être pour faire une station,
Non,
une place pour l'eau?
c'est pour, parce qu'ils sont propriétaires de la maison.
Oui.
Il va fermer l'autre entrée qui était au milieu du côte. Puis, ça c'est le nouveau entrée. Il y avait tous les permis, toutes les obligations étaient avec le ministère du Transport. Ils ont enlevé une partie des garde-fous qui sont impliqués et propriétaires. Il y avait tout le droit de faire cette entrée-là. Il y avait des permis. Alors,
On pensait que c'était peut-être une nouvelle place pour l'eau, comme vous aviez trouvé, on était tout heureux.
non, c'est l'entrée privée pour la maison que l'autre entrée, c'est trop dangereux. Alors, merci.
Ok, merci.
Merci à vous.